Hey everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, and I'm with David Sullivan, really cool guy from Red Fang. If you don't know Red Fang, you'll get turned on to today. They're an excellent band. David's a really cool guy and a great guitar player, and he does some really unique stuff within the parameters of Red Fang that allow this band to sound as good as it does. Quick shout out and a thank you to Monica Side Evanson for hooking us up. Thanks, Monica. Okay, quickly on David, founding member and lead guitarist for Red Fang. They're a hard rock band hailing from Portland, Oregon. The band formed in 2004, and they've released 5 albums since then, including their latest album, which is called Arrows, which I'd love you to check out. The band has opened for or played festivals with Helmet, and we had Paige Hamilton on here if you want to check that out. Megadeth, Godsmack, Disturbed, Mastodon, Black Tusk, Orange Goblin. Did you get? I love Orange Goblin. Were you hip to them before you played with them?
I knew one record, and it's the one. I'm not gonna remember the name of the album, but it had a song called Blue something on it. I don't know. Randomly came across it, and it was like, "This is great." You know, just a kind of a Sabbathy kind of thing going on. And then we did some shows with those guys, and instantly became friends. Those guys are great.
Cool. Yeah. I had Joe on the show a while back. I was like a fan of his. I was a bit of a fanboy when he was on. I was like, wow, this is cool. Opeth, In Flames, and others. And Red Fang actually performed on The Late Show with David Letterman in 2014. What was that like?
That was amazing. It was the first time we've ever done any live TV, and I've always loved Letterman. And it was kind of nerve-wracking, to be honest, because
you know, I would imagine
I've never really done anything like that before. We went up to New York and did a rehearsal. They shoot 2 shows a day. They're shooting 2 shows a day, and then they don't work on Friday or something like that. So we went in early and did a rehearsal, and then let's see, I want to say there was like 3 different times we were in there. We went in there, set up our stuff, and at that point, I think we couldn't really make sound. And then we came back a little later, and they did, I guess, what they call blocking, where they basically see where everybody's going to stand. They move their cameras around, and we got to meet Paul Schaefer. And Paul Schaefer was nice enough to play with us on the song. I always thought that was cool that he would sit in with bands. And, he probably never heard of us before that, I'm sure, and didn't know the song. But after, like, we just said, here's the basics, what the song goes, and instantly he could play along, and just improvise on it. So that was really cool. But yeah, it was great. It was nerve-wracking. I didn't sleep much the night before worrying about it. And I've said this before, and I don't know if anybody could notice, but so there's a part in the song, I guess it's like the second verse or something anyway, where I play a sort of a solo. Well, it's basically me mimicking the vocal line. So I kind of do this high up thing that kind of does what Aaron's singing. And when we got to that spot, I went to the wrong note, and I just was like, uh-oh, I'm not in the right place here. So I just I call it getting jazzy. I just made some stuff up and kind of got back on it pretty quickly.
Right.
But, I'm on TV, and I'm like already nervous, and then I messed that up. And I don't think anybody can tell. Nobody knows what I was supposed to be playing.
Sure.
But that made me really just freak out for a second, but it was fine. And I go back and I watch it later, and you can't even really tell, but I can tell. And at the moment I was panicking because I went up to this note that's supposed to match what the singer's doing, and it was wrong. But anyway, but yeah, that was great. And then didn't really talk to Letterman very much at the end of our performance. He came over and shook everybody's hand, and that was kind of it. But it was great. I was really, I didn't think that we would, at where we were at the time, we would be on Letterman. I didn't think we were doing well enough. And I'm not really sure how that came to be. I think somebody must have known, like the music director or something on the show. There was some connection, and they were like, yeah, we can have these guys on here. So yeah, it was amazing. That was a highlight of our whole thing for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah. Who wouldn't be nervous? You've never been on live TV and you're on Letterman. That's like baptism by fire, man. That's
I've been watching that, since I was a kid, and always loved it. And all the musical guests, he's had so many musical guests in there. So yeah, it was great. It was amazing.
Very cool, man. Feather in your cap. That's awesome to have.
Hmm.
Red Fang toured the West Coast in 2006, but after that, they did full US tours from 07 to 11. And then they started doing their first European tour. They toured throughout the States and Europe every year until 2009 when COVID happened. Red Fang is also known for they have some really cool, really funny videos that we'll talk about some of them today. I mean, like, it's like old school videos, really. Nobody's making videos like that anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody. I mean, they're really cool. And the videos have helped them get a lot of traction, and well-deserved. It has. I'm going to step out of the order here, but I was curious. You toured the West Coast in 06. How did you guys get all these shows booked? Did you have like a booking agent or?
Yeah, back then it was pretty much our drummer, John.
Wow.
And it was even before, I want to say maybe he had a mobile phone then, but I feel like it was this style where he didn't even have a mobile phone. We had a notebook with phone numbers and addresses and an atlas, a road map.
Right.
And, we didn't have Google Maps and stuff like that. But yeah, the booking back then was, okay, so me and John had been in some bands before. We had all, before Red Fang, been in a bunch of bands and done a little bit of touring. And whenever bands would come to like Raleigh or Greensboro, back in North Carolina, they would stay with us. We were just friends with bands. So I think a lot of the shows would happen because we would call bands that we knew in different cities and be like, hey, who do we talk to set up a show? And so it was really just a lot of like old fashioned phone calls, and it wasn't emails, or maybe there was a little bit of emailing actually, but it was early enough. I don't think I got a cell phone until, I remember getting a little flip phone. I didn't even have a mobile phone until like maybe 2008. And it was before we were doing a tour with Clutch. And I was like, I need a phone. I can't be on the road and have no, way to, contact anybody. But it was mostly our drummer. He and our other guitar player, Brian, he knew a lot of folks too. But it's just knowing people and old fashioned style, like calling. I remember we would get to town, go to a payphone and call and say, hey, we're here. How do we get to, where do you want us to go? And it was definitely it was right at the beginning of when everybody had, maps on their phones and everything. But
yeah,
a lot of work on our drummer's part, really.
Yeah, but you know what? That shows that that's pretty smart that you had all these contacts in bands, and this band's in, I don't know, Memphis or whatever. Hey, who do I call in Memphis? Because they had everybody starts regionally first. That's a very clever idea. Good for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how we did it back then. It was just, knowing folks in bands and then kind of asking them, how can we make this happen?
That's one.
And it usually worked out. Yeah, somehow it worked out.
Just a boy with a drum and a dream. There you go. That was great. Yeah, that's really clever.
I think maybe that also just kind of speaks to the fact that we just love doing it. We weren't making money, we were just, I remember saving up money to be able to go on tour and coming back home with, maybe we broke even,
Yeah.
Things like, I remember doing this too, screen printing our own shirts. Now this is before Red Fang. I'm talking about other bands before Red Fang, but I remember screen printing our own shirts with another band, just so we would have something to sell. One time I made for me and John's old band, the Mercury Birds, I made a stencil, a multicolored stencil that was meant to, use spray paint on. And we burned a bunch of CDRs so we could have a demo to sell to people or give to people. And I spent a bunch of time spray painting these stencils on these CDRs so that it would have some cool artwork instead of just a Sharpie written on there,
Yeah.
Just doing stuff like that. You kind of had to make it happen however you could. And I don't know, it just somehow it worked out.
Yeah. But I think that speaks a lot to one of the things I've learned is how far really caring about something that means something to you.
Yeah.
Just
music. I've always loved music, and got lucky in finding the right group of folks that also loved it and were willing to tour. So yeah.
Right on, man. Thank you. All right, let's start at the beginning. You were born just outside of San Francisco. Then your family moved to rural North Carolina. You still have your North Carolina accent, by the way.
Yeah, it comes out a little bit. If I talk to a family or something like that, or somebody back in North Carolina, it definitely creeps out.
Yeah, man. What prompted that move from the West Coast to the East, and what was growing up in rural North Carolina like for you?
Well, okay, so I was 2 years old when we moved, and basically it was my parents got divorced.
Okay.
Mom and dad split up, and I guess that's why, because my mom was from North Carolina. She grew up in Durham, North Carolina. So I guess she was just like, I'm going to go back to where my family is. So that's why we moved back. And then growing up in rural North Carolina, I really love North Carolina. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
We were kind of, I guess you'd call it the Piedmont. There's coast, there's the coast, you got beaches, and then there's the middle, which is kind of rolling hills, and then Western North Carolina is mountains. And we were basically in the middle there, Raleigh, which is the capital. And Raleigh, when I was real young, up until like 5 years old, then we moved out to the country, out to Dunn, North Carolina. Actually, technically Coates, North Carolina, which is a town with like 2 stoplights and there's not much there. It's really small.
That is rural.
Tobacco fields, cotton fields, all around. And we lived in this old house. It was an old, I don't know how to describe it. I guess it was kind of Victorian looking, had a tin roof, but it was big. It had a breezeway between the main house and the back. We had a wood stove for heat. I remember at one point we had a wood fire powered hot water heater.
Holy crap.
So this guy that my mom was dating for a while.
Wood fire.
Yeah.
So you had to heat wood to heat.
You had to start a fire. Yes.
To get a shower.
Yeah. So here's what it was. It was the tank from a hot water heater built on a little ring of bricks, and then a 55-gallon drum over top of that, and then like a little chimney kind of thing, a stovepipe. And so, yeah, you had to start a fire in the bottom, and then it was connected. You made sure there's water in the tank. You start a little fire in there. It basically just heated up this tank, and it was connected to the bathroom with just garden hose style hoses. So if you let it get too hot before you turn it on, those hoses would pop because it was dangerous, actually, I guess. We never had that happen, but yeah, there was a while before we had a real hot water heater, electric hot water heater. You had to start a fire if you wanted hot water. Or the other way we did it, I remember when I was real young, I remember just heating up pots of water on top of the wood stove and taking a bath with that hot water. You just mix it with some cold water. And
wow.
Yeah, so pretty rural and not, we didn't have a lot of money. But I look back on that, I loved it. It was great. I was the kind of kid who ran around in the woods, and I don't know, me and my brother try to build little tree forts and stuff. It was great. I really enjoyed it. But it was.
What a story, though. I mean, how your mom must have been proud as shit when you're on Letterman.
Oh yeah.
From where you came from, that's like, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to make it sound like we were destitute. We weren't. But my mom definitely took care of us. We were going to school. We were doing all that. But yeah, it was pretty. It was pretty down home country. It was rural. Yeah, it was very rural.
Very. But that's a big thing.
Big dirt road out in front of our house, and shooting BB guns, that kind of thing.
When you first said Dunn, do you remember there's a Joe Walsh song at the end there?
Dunn's in California.
I know. Yeah, I've always really liked that. It's another town spelled the same way, D-U-N-N.
That's cool.
And, yeah, I remember that. It's on the end of some James Gang song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know what they're talking about. Oh, I guess they're probably joking that the song is done.
Right.
And then he's joking that,
Dunn.
But yeah,
Dunn.
I have definitely noticed that because I grew up basically in Dunn. So yeah.
So 11 or 12, you start getting into guitar. How did that come about?
I mean, I guess my mom always, we always had music playing around the house. She loved music, and we had I remember she had a nylon string acoustic, like Spanish style acoustic guitar. It was just always around, and I guess just music was a big part of, I don't know, we just always listened to music. And, I used to kind of plunk around on that guitar, not really very good or anything. And also my younger brother, he actually was way better at guitar than I was early on. And maybe still is. But anyway, he was left-handed, and the guitar we had was right-handed, and he played with his hand on top of the neck, like, basically like lap steel style.
Yeah.
And so I would sit across from him, and it was kind of like mirror style, because he's playing. Let's see.
It's hard to learn from a lefty.
Yeah. Well, it is opposite, because you can't really kind of look at what they're doing and go, oh yeah, I'm doing the same thing. It's kind of opposite. Plus, he didn't hold the neck, normal. He did all his fretting with his fingers on top of the neck.
Wow.
But he got really good at it. I don't know if he just was a natural. And so I kind of learned a lot from him, watching him with his oddball style. I couldn't do what he did. I still can't. I mean, I've tried to play with my hand on top of the neck, and it's just so foreign to me. But yeah, it was basically just, music was always a part of our life growing up. My brother was a good guitar player. My mom always encouraged us to be creative, and, not just music, but arts and music and stuff. And she was always playing records. She had a big old box of records. And I remember, I don't know, maybe I was like a little before I started playing guitar, around 8 or 9 years old. And my uncle gave me a crate of records, and it had all kinds of great stuff in there. So yeah, just music was a big part of our upbringing. And but as far as getting serious about playing guitar, I remember at one point my brother got this guitar. I need to figure out what it was called. It looked like an Explorer, and it was white, and it had a bunch of effects built in. It had these little buttons you could press on it: distortion, delay, I don't know, probably a phaser or something. And I don't know what, it was like super cheapo guitar, but with effects built into it. Yeah. And we were just like, this is the coolest thing ever, I don't even think we had an amplifier at the time. I think we played through like a boom box or something, because we didn't really have like a real amp.
Sure.
But anyway, he started getting pretty good, and especially because he played on top of the guitar, he was good at tapping and things like that, because that was just kind of natural for that style of playing. But yeah, I don't know. I think I got serious about it. Maybe I started to learn a few songs, of course, the obvious songs like Smoke on the Water, Iron Man.
Yeah.
I remember hearing, I love and still do Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah. And
I remember hearing Going Up Around the Bend and that little intro riff, and just being like, ooh, I want to do this. I want to make those sounds. But yeah, it was really just, I got into it because my mom always encouraged it, and my brother was also into it, and I wanted to learn how to do it. And, I don't think I got really serious about it until I went to college years later. I mean, I always kind of plunked around, but I wasn't really good at it, or I didn't like take lessons or have any discipline about learning it. But then when I went to school, I was asked to be in a band, and that was when I really like started, I just basically started playing a lot, and that's all you have to do really to learn guitar, is just do it. Sure. A lot, so yeah.
Where'd you go to school? Did you go to NC State?
North Carolina State. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
In Raleigh.
And at that point you also got into playing Telecasters, which I watched some interviews to prepare for this, and I was shocked, because that, like, hard, like people say, well, Jimmy Page played at Telecasters, but there's not a lot of bands that are playing your stuff, and the lead guitarist is a Telly.
Yeah. I think a little piece of why real early on in playing that band, I had somebody loan me a Stratocaster. It might have been a Squire. It might not have been an actual Fender, but anyway, a Stratocaster. And I was like, this is great. I have an electric guitar I can play. It was a loaner guitar. And then my dad, because my brother loved guitar so much, he bought my younger brother a Les Paul, like an actual I think it was an 80 something. I don't know what year exactly it was, but it was a nice Les Paul. And I was feeling the difference between that and the cheapo guitar I've been borrowing. It was like, wow, I got to get a good guitar. So I would go to, music stores, play all these guitars, just try to find something that felt good. And I was at this guitar shop in Raleigh. I think it was called Harry's Guitar Shop at the time. It was called Oxbow when I was there. Then one of the guys who worked there ended up buying it. They changed it to Harry's. So anyway, they had a Telecaster thin line there in 1972, and I was playing it, and I was like, wow, this just feels right.
Wow.
Guitars, even the same model guitar, you pick up one, oh, that feels pretty good. You pick up another, and you're like, ooh, that feels right. I don't know if it was how it was set up or what it was about it, but it felt great. And I didn't have a whole lot of money, and I was going to school at the time, getting some grants and loans and stuff. And I was like, yeah, should I spend, they wanted $575 for it.
That's quite a lot of money at that time.
It was definitely, it is. It still is a lot. So anyway, so I was real hesitant, and there was another music store across town that also had a 1972 thin line, almost identical. And that one just didn't feel quite right. Maybe it was the setup. I don't know. But it was cheaper. It was a couple $100 cheaper, or maybe $100 cheaper. Anyway, so I went back to Oxbow, and I was like, they have the same guitar across town. It's cheaper, but it just doesn't feel as good as this one. And he's like, well, maybe that's why this one's a little bit more, because it just feels great. So yeah, it was a Telly thin line. And I remember thinking, this isn't a very rock and roll looking guitar. It's like wooden, and it's got an F hole in it. It looked very, traditionally it looked country.
Very much.
Well, I think most people would associate it with kind of a country thing, Waylon Jennings, that kind of thing. But I just thought it felt great, and it sounded great. And I think, I was like a little bit of a punk rock kid then, and I thought it was kind of punk rock to have a guitar that wasn't what people expected. So
Very
I'm
true.
going to get this kind of country guitar. And there were a couple of bands, the Minutemen. I was a big fan of the Minutemen, and that guy D Boone, he always played Tellys. Anyway, there's definitely some players who play Tellys. I believe I've heard that the first Led Zeppelin album was recorded on it. Didn't he play a Telly early on?
Yes, Jimmy Page played Telly on that first one. And if you could see, there's videos of him with the bow playing Dazed and Confused on a Telly. Which is pretty cool.
And the Tellys that I play are mostly humbuckers. They're a normal, or whatever you call it, just a regular Telecaster. People think of it's the single coil, and then the tinier single coil up there. The ones I'm playing, the thin lines, they have two wide range humbuckers in them. So it's a little bit different from a normal Telly. But yeah, I just, I found that guitar, and it just felt great, and sounded great. And I ended up getting it. And then, let's see, at some point I bought a Music Man amplifier, and really liked it. And a buddy of mine, actually the amp is right there, got a bunch of microphones on it, but that Music Man amp, that's not the one that I bought originally. The one I bought was just a head, and I traded my friend Matt Brown for this one right here. It's a Music Man 112 RD65.
What year is that?
I'm gonna guess it's late 70s, early 80s. I'm not 100%
sound
sure.
Great.
Yeah, but that's basically the amp that's been with me the longest. But so I traded basically the head version of that for this combo, and he had painted his name on there, so it says Brown across the grill cloth. But so yeah, that was my setup for forever. It was the thin line, the Telly thin line, and that Music Man amp.
I love that amp that it says Brown on it.
Yeah.
It's
it's I'm glad that his name wasn't, I don't know, something else, because Brown, just a color, so
yeah, it could be like Brown Sound or Brown Sound. That's what I was thinking of the first time I saw it.
And it's just easy, like nobody's gonna steal that because it's got Brown written on it. It's identifiable. But yeah, that's an amp that I've had forever.
That's cool.
At this point, it probably needs the capacitors redone in it, because I don't play that one too much, but when I have tried to play it, I'll notice I'll be playing for a while, and then all of a sudden the tone it'll get real dark, and then it'll kind of come back and it'll get bright. There's something going on with it. Maybe it's even just tubes. I'm not sure, but yeah, that was one of the actually, well, the first amp I got was actually one of those Marshall non-tube thing. I don't know. It was called a MOSFET something. It was a digital Marshall thing, or a solid state Marshall thing, but I only had that for a little bit. Then I got the Music Man, the head version of this. Then I got that. So that was basically my amp it was the only amp I had for like 20 years or something.
That's awesome, man.
But yeah. Sorry.
And then you just stuck with Tellys. That's all. I mean, I know you play other things now. We'll get into that in a bit, but that's like always been your guitar of choice.
Yeah, that's been my main thing. I mean, it was the only guitar I had for years and years. And I still really, I mean, you can see I've got several Tellys up here.
Is that most an Epiphone amp?
Yeah, that's it's called a Valve Junior. It's, I don't know if they make them anymore. It's here, actually, let me grab it.
I've never seen an Epiphone amp, but I bet you it's awesome.
It is. It's cool. It's a so it's a Valve Junior, and this one has been modded. People really like the circuit in here. Apparently is easy to mod. So somebody added here a little extra gain. There's a little switch that's not part of the original amp. And actually, I want to say this tone knob was added too. I believe the originals, you just get volume and an input, and that's it. But this one has been modded. It's a, I think it's only like a 5 watt. I'm not sure what this says power.
That must be perfect to just jam out in your house.
It's actually surprisingly loud. It's a cool sounding amp. It's just a real simple little, maybe it's, I don't know enough about circuits to know, but maybe it's kind of like their version of a Champ.
Okay, yeah,
a Fender Champ, but it's not really that. But it's a cool little amp, yeah. And
awesome.
Epiphone, yeah. Who knows that they made amps?
I didn't. That's the first one I've ever seen. This where I was like, is that an Epiphone amp? That's really cool.
I got that a little while back, and I have calmed down on this, but I have I don't know what you call it, gear acquisition syndrome, or I did for a while. So I would be like, oh, that thing looks great. Or I would read about it or see a YouTube video, and I'm like, I got to try that out.
That's the worst.
And I've definitely stopped doing that in the past couple of years. But yeah, so I've got a lot of things that I should probably sell. But like that guy, I know there's going to be some time when I'm recording, I'm going to be like, that amp would be perfect for that. So I want to hang on to all these things. But
that's cool.
But yeah, Tellys, I just love them. They're just kind of minimal. They're like the guitar to me. I mean, I know it's not, well, actually, I don't know, think about it. What was like early on? It was a Les Paul, and Telly was Fender's first thing ish.
Yeah, that was Fender's first guitar. It was a Telly and then a Strat. But the people that like Tellys, they're all in, like you. I mean, it's like either like it or you don't. And I know guys that are like really good players that bought, even older in life, like my age, they bought a Telly, and it was like, no, I just couldn't get into it. I really wanted to like. So it's either, I think, all in or nothing on the Telly.
Yeah, I guess I was all in until I played a Nick Hubert Krautster,
right?
Which is not a Telly style. It's more of a Les Paul style.
It's like a Les Paul special with one, or Les Paul one pickup, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, okay. So the one that I have is single pickup. Their base model is a humbucker in the bridge and a P90 in the neck.
That's pretty cool.
The normal ones come with, they're great guitars. It's a German based company, and it's real small. It's basically this main guy, Nick Huber, and I believe just some of his family, maybe one or two other employees. It's not huge, but the craftsmanship is amazing. We were on tour in Germany. I'm not sure what year it was, and his like artist representative guy came to one of our shows with some of their guitars and said, the way our tour was routed, we were starting in Germany and we were going to end in Germany. And he's like, I want you guys you can take these guitars with you try them out, and then I'll meet you at your last show in Germany, and you know, we can talk about it, whatever. And I was like, wow, nobody had ever
How
done
good
that
does that
for us
feel?
before.
Like,
Oh
that
yeah,
has got
amazing.
like a guy comes in with guitars. That's like, you know, that's like, you know, that's
it is. It's the
cool.
dream, you know,
Yeah.
like somebody wants us to just, they're giving us guitars to play. That's amazing.
Right.
I mean, he wasn't giving them to us, he was loaning them to us, but and then so, and I had never really played that style of guitar, you know, I mean, I've messed around on it, but Telly was my main thing. But I played it and I was like, wow, this thing feels amazing. It was really lightweight, really comfortable. There's a, I wish I don't have one here, it's at the rehearsal space, but there's a really nice detail on the neck where the neck meets the body, that he does this little carved out shape, so it doesn't just come down square. Anyway, it's just a really nice neck detail, and the guitar just felt and sounded great. Oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
Is that a thick neck or a thin neck? Is it like a Gibson old neck or a Gibson like a classic?
It's not too thick. I found it to be very comfortable. I mean, that's one thing that I like about some of the Tellys that I have, is that small neck.
Yeah, I like a small neck as well.
With a small radius too.
Yeah.
You know, some people like a really flat radius. I'm not like a shredder doing. I don't even. I mean, I try. I don't do a lot of stuff up high on the neck. I'm not a soloist or whatever you want to call it. I'm not a shredder. So I like a really small neck and a small, very rounded fret radius. The Huber is kind of in between. I wouldn't call it a big neck like some of the Gibsons. It's comfortable. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I have to look at what the specs are, but it just felt great. And so when we got back to the end of that tour, and Clemens met us again, and he's like, "What'd you think of the guitars?" And I had started using them during shows.
You're like, I'll take
well,
them.
I told him I loved him, and he said, "You can take it back with you to the U.S. and keep borrowing it. You know, he basically." So I was like, "Wow, that's awesome." So I kept playing it, and it became my live guitar basically. And then a couple years after that, or maybe a year after that, he's like, "Would you like us to build you a guitar?" And I told him that I really just want to keep this one. And it was a Krautster that had been modified to like what I like. The neck pickup wasn't in there. And the neck pickup is great. It's just that I find live, especially, I'm not switching.
Yeah.
For Red Fang, we're kind of caveman maybe. So we're not doing really subtle things where I need to switch to a P90. Although now I kind of am like, ooh, I should have had the P90 in there, because, you know, it might be nice for step on a pedal and switch to that, and you get a whole different sound for a solo or something. But anyway, he let me take the guitar all the way back to the US, and I kept playing it. A few years later, he's like, "Would you like us to build you one?" I fell in love with this one. Can I buy this one, this loaner guitar from you? And let me do that. And then eventually I did buy another one from them, kind of to my specs again. I had them not put the P90 in there, and just volume and tone. But yeah, those Nick Huber Krausters, they're just amazing. They feel really nice. They're a little pricey, but I'd say they're worth it. Yeah, I mean, it's a small company. This guy really cares about them, really puts his heart and soul into them, and they're just, they're amazing. They feel amazing, and they're roadworthy. They really hold up, because I've when we tour, we don't have roadies. I wish we did. We don't have like a guitar tech cleaning my guitar every night. I mean, I do that stuff myself, and I try to take care of them, but they're the environment of the guitars is, I sweat a lot when I'm playing, so I'll wipe it off. I change strings every 3 or 4 shows, but it's not like I'm really taking care of them how I should, and they're holding up great. So.
But that's a separate job almost, man.
Oh yeah,
taking care of you. It's like,
and I enjoy it, but I would love to have a tech with us on the road, and maybe we'll get there at some point. It's just basically, especially in the US, the way there's been a couple of times, let me think, in the US, we've only been on a actual tour bus for a couple of tours, and that was like when we did the Rockstar Energy Drink tour. We shared a bus with another band. That might have been the only time in the US. So anyway, we're in a Ford Econoline 15-passenger van. So if we start adding more crew, it means either we got to have another van or a bigger bus, and we can't really afford that. We just haven't made that step. So yeah, we're our own guitar techs basically.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I thought I saw you playing a Les Paul in one of the videos too. Do you still play breakout, or do you break out a Les Paul once in a while?
Every once in a while, and not. I think what you might be thinking of is an Electra. Like on Letterman, I played an Electra.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Les Paul style. Electra.
The guy who has that car is down. The two guys, is down here in Tampa.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I think what I understand is that Electra was a brand, back in the 60s, 70s.
Right.
Then somebody kind of revived it, basically. So yeah, they were really nice and sent me a couple guitars.
Okay.
And
that makes sense.
They were really cool about it. They're like, we know that guitar players don't want to be locked into one guitar. So you only have to use this song for one song out of your set. And I was like, okay. And then they were like, and it has to be the first song. which is it's just a great way to do that.
It's smart. And it's and it's reasonable.
You're not going to switch after one song. You're going to play. If you start your set with the song, you're going to keep playing it. And it was a great guitar. That guitar, talking about guitar necks, that had a jumbo style neck on it, which took me a little getting used to.
Yeah.
But I actually kind of liked it after a while. But yeah, ultimately, so I will bust out that guitar every once in a while. Mostly on tour, though, it's been almost exclusively the Nick Huber Krautsters since I started playing them, and the Telecasters. I did a lot of touring and playing on the Telecasters. Yeah,
I really respect the hustle that you guys go through, man. Like, you're doing this all yourself, you're doing that all yourself, and like your humility with it of maybe we'll have this one day. Or even before what you said about your brother, you said, he might still be a better guitar player than me. And I always find the guys that are the most talented have that sensibility of like, hey man, there's a lot of shit to know, and I got I like, school's never out for the pro kind of mentality.
Yeah, it's definitely a constant learning process. I mean, I know there's technique wise, there's tons of things that I could explore and learn, and then and writing songs is, I don't know how, I still don't even know how that works. It's just like, it's almost a magical thing. You've just gotta, I don't know where songs come from. It just happens somehow. I mean, there's definitely some things you can do, like practicing, or maybe, and I'm bad about this, but maybe make yourself spend some time trying to write songs, on a schedule or something. But yeah, it's a constant learning process, and I will never claim to, like, I know it all now, I'm done.
Oh man, when someone says that,
not how it works
in any field, I'm like, run the other way, hold on to your wallet and run.
Yeah,
man. That's what
because that's just not how it works, especially music. I mean, it's a creative process. It's kind of whatever you want it to be. But yeah, I feel grateful that I've been able to do what I love and what I enjoy, and somehow it's working out, so yeah, I try to stay humble and remember that, I'm lucky that all this is happening. I mean, like you said, it does take some hard work. Got to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But actually, that's one thing. Just, I know it sounds cheesy maybe for people to say, but you gotta do what makes you happy.
It's great.
I mean, it sounds really simple, but it also sounds kind of like cheeseball. But it really, if you do what makes you happy, you're going to be happier, and things will naturally follow from that. Because if you're not doing what makes you happy and you're just doing something for whatever reason, from some other motivation, and you're not happy, it can never be good, at least for me personally. So yeah, basically just kind of knowing that I love music, and it does take a lot of work. Like, I think a lot of people think, oh, touring, it's a party. It's like, it's that rock star thing, party every night. And it's, it's not. It's a lot of time traveling in the van, sleeping in crappy hotels. And then you get like an hour and a half of doing the thing that you love. And then it's back in the van and driving, 8 hours, or, these days we try to keep our tour space between tours a lot shorter than that. But, we've done some really long times where it's like a lot of time traveling. And I think people don't realize that it's not as glamorous as the, the rock star dream kind of is. But yeah, I just love it enough to just want to keep doing it. And it's worked out. I never thought I would be playing in a band and it would be like my job, never thought that would happen. Just did it because I love it,
Yeah, I think people see the end result and the truth is, unless you have done something yourself and started at zero and worked to get to a proficiency level where you're getting paid for it, there's no way you can know. It's almost like an oblivious thing, like, oh man, you guys just did this. They don't know all the, when you're driving that van around in Michigan in December, that ain't fun,
Yeah.
And
also the way the music industry is or whatever, there's so many people who are amazingly talented, amazing. And for some reason they don't get the opportunities that some other bands get. So it's also just that it's kind of just, it's luck, really. There's definitely some element of luck or right time and right place, or I'm not even sure, because there's definitely some really talented bands and musicians who don't get some of the opportunities that I got. And I don't know how you explain that. I know one thing that really helped us out was our videos. Our buddy Whitey McConaughey, he started out doing like snowboarding and skiing, skateboarding videos and stuff. Anyway, he's good at making videos. And at some point he was like, I got this idea for you guys. We're going to make this video. You're going to battle these LARPers out in a park, and you're going to build your own beer can armor. And we were like, that sounds great. It sounds really fun. I remember him saying, you can't drink while we're filming. Because he knew we would overdo it. Maybe I don't do that so much anymore, but back then we liked to drink some beers.
Sure, man.
But so anyway, that video though really got it clicked with people. I think the humor in it, it just connected. And then also I think people liked the song. So, but I think really just the being humorous is what made people go, aha, I love this. It's fun. Who doesn't like beer and battling and running around in the park and costumes and I don't know. So yeah, it just connected with people, and that really helped us out. So I think that's one of the things that gave us some opportunities, was that video put a lot of eyeballs on us that we probably wouldn't have had if we just put the song out there without a video that people responded to. So that was one thing that really helped us a lot.
Let's switch gears. Let's go talk about some of that, because I want to talk about some of my favorite Red Fang songs. Wires from Murder the Mountains. To me, the way you get the arrangement on that song was really cool. It reminded me of, not that it sounds like Black Sabbath, but how Sabbath would pace things and then they'd have a pause and, they would change up the tempo. Yeah. And that song was the arrangement on that was really cool. The lyrics, mama, she said to wait, she's lost it all, slowly got to stay to make you pay. It's pretty dark. She throws the fiend upon the floor to get those suckers full of stone till the day he dies alone. What is that song about, man? It was
yeah, well, I can speak to both these things, but the lyrics are Aaron, our bass player, wrote the lyrics. And I'm not entirely sure what the lyrics are about. It is kind of dark. I feel like it's basically it's kind of the baby bird leaving the nest and maybe even going off to war. And it's kind of separating, but in kind of a dark kind of way. But I kind of feel like it's I imagine like a soldier or I don't know, someone far away from home, kind of thinking back to his mom and the mom missing them.
Okay.
But to be honest, really, you kind of have to ask Aaron what it all really means. I think he's kind of more going for a feeling. I don't know if it's based on anything specific.
Okay.
And then the arrangement, that song is actually kind of all of our songs are collaborative, but that one specifically is some riffs that I wrote and some riffs that Aaron wrote. And so I wrote the down, the beginning part of it. And then Aaron had that part, the bust out part, which I think you were kind of talking about. It kind of builds up to this kind of pause, and then Aaron had this riff, and I was like, oh, that feels so good after doing this kind of tension thing for so long, and then it just kind of busts out. Aaron, it's a combination of some riffs that I wrote, some riffs that Aaron wrote, and the whole band, because really the way we write is very collaborative. Even I remember.
Well, you guys must be good friends, because I'm not 100. I didn't check every song, but aren't all of you credited on all the songs?
Yeah, we just decided that a while back, instead of trying to keep up with, who wrote this one, who wrote that one. I mean, I can remember who kind of came up with some of the riffs, but they all get morphed and changed around. So we just say we wrote it all together, because
that's very
really
cool.
We did. I mean, there's some of us, like, not to get too far away from the songs.
No, that's cool.
But Brian is probably the most prolific as far as coming up with riffs. Maybe not always complete songs, but he'll come in. He's like, I got 3 or 4 new, riff ideas, and throw them at the band. But anyway, so yeah, everybody brings like bits and pieces, sometimes a close to complete sketch of a song, but then we as a band work it into a song, figure out the arrangement. Does this feel like we need to go longer here? Should we have a quiet part here? That kind of thing. That's all very collaborative. So yeah, as far as credits on the songs, we say it's everyone in the band. It's all of us together. But
that's not common. I'm telling you, as you probably know. But I think it's really cool. It speaks to, you guys are in this together.
Yeah. I feel like there's not like one person kind of saying this is my creative thing and everybody's kind of supporting. It's all of us doing it together. Although, there are some strengths, like Aaron and Brian write most of the lyrics, and I think that just follows because they also are the main vocalists.
Sure.
So I don't have much to do with lyrics, although I have written some lyrics and just given them to them and go, if you can do something with this, great. Yeah. And I did sing on the very first record.
What song?
Oh, what is that song called? Wings of Fang.
Yeah, man, that's one of the songs I like. That's funny.
I didn't want to sing. Brian was like, come on, you got a good voice, you should sing. And so I did it. And I used to sing it live. Don't do it anymore. And we haven't really played that song too much, although we have recently revived that song in our possible set list, but I'm not singing it.
Why not?
But yeah, so I just, this is something that I should probably get over. I should, make myself be uncomfortable and do this. I've just never been very good at singing and playing at the same time. And I'm sure from looking at my bandmates, I know it's not that hard to do. Depends on what you're
or
playing,
even if you don't want to do it, Brian could take over the stuff.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we could make it work. I just, I'd rather just play guitar. I like just making sounds with the guitar rather than my voice. It's scary to me. I would say that
it is.
Singing is like, I can be in front of a huge crowd of people playing guitar, no problem. But if I have to sing to that crowd, that's just like, it's bearing your soul, which is great. And people who can do it are amazing. I should probably work on trying to overcome that. But I'm terrified of that. I can't just sing to a crowd of people. And even more terrifying is singing to a small group of people.
Yeah,
like,
that's
I don't
harder.
even like doing karaoke, even just to a couple of people. That's also terrifying to me. I don't know. It's just something about singing. It's amazing. It's powerful. It's amazing what people can do with just their voice,
Yeah.
But I've always been really shy and more than that, terrified of singing live. So I have done it a little bit, but just not my thing. I don't know. I just want to play the guitar.
It's when you watch you on stage, you look totally comfortable. You're like very immersed in what you're doing. You're like, you're in your zone. You can see that. So, I totally understand.
Although I probably should, it's, and it might even, I've thought about this. It might even be like a nice way to kind of expand my musical skills. Basically, if I can sing and play, it just means I can do that much more.
Yeah.
And I know that sometimes if I'm trying to come up with a part, like say we've got a part and we want to do some variation of it, instead of trying to figure it out on the guitar, I'll just hum it, which is way easier because you're not going to hit any wrong notes,
Sure.
Just humming it out and then figure it out on the guitar. So maybe if I worked on doing some vocal stuff, I could get to the point where I could do the same idea humming, but on the guitar, Anyway, I'm just scared of singing, basically.
I totally get it. It is a very vulnerable spot. We're having a break. We're having a breakthrough moment here, David.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would love to be able to do it. I haven't spent a lot of time on it, and I don't know if this is a good or bad thing. My position in the band kind of lets me just focus on playing guitar. I noticed in the intro you said lead guitarist, and me and Brian, neither one of us will claim to be the lead guitarist in the band. I guess technically because I'm not also doing vocals, maybe I'm the lead guitarist and I've got more pedals than Brian does.
Sure.
But I don't really think of myself as lead guitarist because like I was saying, I'm not a shredder. I'm not super technical with the solos and stuff. I mean, I guess.
And neither is Gilmore.
Well, yeah, and he's amazing. He's great. You don't have to be that kind of player.
No, I don't look at.
When I hear lead guitar player, I think of Eddie Van Halen. But anyway, so we joke that neither of us is the lead guitar player.
Sure.
But yeah.
Hey, no disrespect to Brian. Sorry, I just hope.
Oh man, no, not at all.
I don't hope he's not offended.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so that was so Wires from Murder the Mountains. I would check that out. Not For You from Only Ghost. That song had tons of energy. Awesome video. The cartoon, to me, it was like an R or X-rated version of Family Guy. It was really like, I mean, it wasn't like the artist copied Family Guy, but it was in that realm, it was really cool. This is what I had a question about. In the video, you guys have a DJ spinning like a lot of records, like I think from the 80s. And one of them was, the first one was Genesis selling England by the Pound. What was the significance of those particular records? And that one in particular, because it was first. I was curious about that.
Yeah. Okay. So that video is done by a Hungarian guy named Balázs. And I'm not going to be able to pronounce his last name. Groff. I'm not sure. Anyway, he's a guy that does animated stuff. And he told us kind of the storyline in the video. It's going to be you guys playing records, and then the crowd's either going to respond or not. So he asked us to pick out some records that we would like featured in there. So the Genesis album, I believe, was Brian's pick. Let's see. Brian picked Genesis. I picked Husker Du Zen Arcade.
Yes, I saw
Our
that.
drummer John picked Can, E.G. Bumyasi, and what was Aaron's pick? I'm gonna blank on that now. I forgot what the other album was, but yeah. So those records are basically picked by us,
cool.
And it was supposed to be kind of like nobody wants to hear that stuff. They want to hear Red Fang.
Right.
That was the joke in the video. But so yeah, that's why those were in there. Basically, he like pick out some albums that wouldn't go over at a party, at a dance kind of thing. What a DJ wouldn't be playing these albums.
Correct.
But yeah, I believe Brian picked that one because he just loves that record. And now I can't remember what Aaron's pick was. But anyway, he asked us for some albums that he could use kind of in this gag where the crowd gets mad when we try to play the songs that we like,
Right. Very cool video, man.
Yeah, it was fun to see. I know it's a lot of work to do an animated video, so
it's a ton of work.
Really, thanks to everybody who's done videos for us. We don't have huge budgets or anything, but they're great for us. And anyway, I know it's a lot of work, and it turned out really funny, I think.
And he's really serious about it, because I noticed at the end of it, it says a movie by, or like a short film by.
Yeah,
I was like, this guy is fucking serious. This isn't like my 5-minute video. This is like
he's still doing them. He's done a bunch of other videos too.
Well, it was done extremely well, and he does, you could, his seriousness about it was matched by the quality of his work. So it was great,
Cool.
man.
Yeah.
And now, like, one of my favorite videos, like, ever, I think, from the new Arrows album, the song "Why." So if that song's about addiction, correct?
Yeah. Okay. It's tricky.
Okay.
That song is actually, it's lyrically, it's sort of a cover of, you're not going to expect this, a Fraggle Rock song. The Muppets Fraggle Rock thing.
Yeah.
So there's this song called "Why," and the lyrics are pretty much the lyrics from that. So it's kind of a cover. The music is totally different. And I believe Aaron changed the lyrics even some from the original to what it is now. And the video is definitely about addiction. He's, transposing pizza for drugs.
Right.
The main character, Arnie, his name is Arnie Von Party, and he's addicted to pizza in the video. The lyrics of the song itself, they're more like a kind of, why is the world the way it is? Why it's a philosophical kind of, why are we here kind of, that's kind of what the song is about. Why is the sky blue? Why do caterpillars crawl? Why do these things do the things they do? Basically, why is the world like it is? That's kind of what the original song is, and it's a Fraggle Rock, Jim Henson thing. Lyrics, the music is Red Fang, but yeah, the video is a little disconnected from that, but I think it works. But yes, the video is definitely about addiction. And when I first saw it, I was like, this is amazing. And I was like, ooh, it's almost too dark. Like it hints at some really unsavory and terrible things.
Chuck E.
But
Cheese.
I think it works.
I sort of say, this is what I wrote. It's like the setting is like Chuck E. Cheese meets Murder on Elm Street, or whatever, that Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that. How did this, and you have like the evil banana splits as the characters, kind of.
Yeah.
How did that come up? I mean,
well, so most of our videos, besides those animated ones, have been with Whitey McConaughey. And then not too long ago, we did a video that was, I don't know how to describe it. It was a video that was also a video game. So there was actual video game created, and you could play it on your phone. And it was the video for the song, but it was an interactive game thing.
Wow.
And that was done by this guy, Ansel Wallenfang, who's this guy who did this Why video. And he's just this super creative guy who loves kind of, I don't know, pushing boundaries. Like, he's like, I don't want to just do a video. I want to do a video that's also a video game. And so for this one, he wanted to do this, kind of a weird horror take on a Chuck E. Cheese thing. But basically, we just were like, yeah, do what you want to do. We let him have free reign. I mean, he showed us kind of a storyboard of it, and we were like, this looks awesome. And he just kind of did it. He likes our band, I guess, and loves being creative and creating videos. And so we just kind of let him run with it. And I think it turned out great. Yeah. We're actually working on another one with him. It's I think we're finished with all the filming. I think he's still editing some stuff, but so there's another one coming out by the same guy who did the Why video.
Whitey McConaughey.
Ansel Wallenfang.
Oh, Ansel. Okay.
Ansel did Why. Whitey did like Wires, Prehistoric Dog. He's done a bunch of videos for us. So yeah, most of our videos are Whitey McConaughey. Ansel has done a video game thing and Why, and then the animated ones were a couple of other people, Balash Groff and I'm sorry that I cannot remember the other guy's name. Anyway, there was another animated video.
I'm so glad you're doing another one with Ansel, because that video, the Why video, is because it was creepy. The singer in the band, he's like an evil banana splits, but he's really an addict. I mean, he's very tragically conventional addict behavior. Like, the guy stops on the side of the road with the pizzas, and then they're in the hotel, and the guy's like buried in shame in the toilet. I mean, in the back. I mean, it's like it's like sad, but that's addict behavior. Full on. I know.
It's interesting how he combines kind of this really dark, real addict kind of stuff, and somehow it's
funny.
I guess you could call it black humor. I guess you could call it, black humor, because it is it's still funny, and it's partially because he's a Chuck E. Cheese kind of animatronic guy, but it also it's kind of heavy,
And the music enhanced both of those things, the humor and the dark. It was really it was pretty perfect, from a creative standpoint.
I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's awesome, and I'm excited about this new video. I don't really want to give anything away about it.
No, totally cool.
But I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be really good.
What song is that for? Off Arrows?
It is. Yes, it's another song on Arrows. It is called Rabbits in Hives.
Awesome.
It's a real short little song.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, that'll be done also by Ansel Wallenfang, and I'm not sure when that's coming out, but it's almost finished, I believe.
Well, everybody, I would check out the Red Fang video for why it's a work of art. The music's great. Everything is just perfect, man. And it's again, I hope I don't sound unsympathetic to addiction. If you've listened to the show, I'm not, but it was just amazing the way they created this under those, the scenes of the Chuck E. Cheese sort of. All right, let me see what I want to ask you. Tell me your top 3 musical experiences, David.
Well, playing on Letterman, which we briefly talked about already, that was definitely one of them. I mean, that was amazing. I was really nervous and excited, and just all the emotions. Basically, that was definitely a highlight to get to play on Letterman, and would love to do more live on TV stuff. Like Saturday Night Live would be amazing. Who knows if that's ever going to happen.
Right now, let's put it out there. Producers or music directors of Saturday Night Live, Red Fang is your next guest. But if you get on the show, man, you got to get me and my wife tickets. That's the only thing.
Oh, sure.
If it comes through here.
Or maybe we could do like Jimmy Kimmel has musical guests on there.
That's right.
I don't know. Seth Meyers has guests on there. Anyway, I'd love to do more of that.
And
that was
James,
one of
James Corden as well.
Oh yeah,
James.
I would do any of those shows. That would be great.
All right, I've had guys
putting it out there in the universe will make it happen.
Absolutely. I had both the guitarists from those. I had the guitarists from all those shows that they got on. So guys, hook a brother up here. Red Fang needs to get on. All right.
Nice. Other top musical experiences. We got to open for the Foo Fighters in Prague and Paris. I'm blanking on the dates on that, but it was the largest indoor show we've ever done. We've played some festivals outdoors with more, but this was I believe the Paris show the capacity was 17,000, and it was almost full. It was close to that. Prague was similar, maybe 15,000, and opening for the Foo Fighters, just us and the Foo Fighters. So that was amazing. Also nerve wracking. They have, comparing our touring style and crew, it's night and day. They've got, because they put on for one thing, they put on a really long show. Those guys play 2.5 hours every time they play. And they've got, video screens. They basically build a stage when they get there. They get to the place and they don't just use the stage that's there. They build this whole, production. They've got video screens. They have a bunch of people with cameras. Part of their crew is camera guys,
That's
crew,
wild.
So they've got,
so they're showing the screen. They're showing various photo movies of them during yes, because they're in these larger places, so you kind of want to enhance for people way in the back. So they've got, while they're playing, there's camera guys, and then there's also behind the scenes, there's kind of a mission control, someone deciding, all right, I'm going to send camera number 5 onto this screen and camera number 3 onto that screen. They do a really huge production. So our style compared to that is no guitar techs, it's just us basically, and our tour manager and our sound guy. So really, you guys are a good combo to open for them, actually.
I think musically it works.
Yeah,
and when we played with them, we were a little worried about it because this crowd did not care about us. They were there for Foo Fighters, fair enough. I mean, that's who they were there to see. And I feel like, when we started out, it was kind of okay, I don't know if the crowd really is getting this or cares about it. But by maybe about halfway into the set, people were starting to rock out and being like, oh yeah, this band, I can see what they're doing. And so I think we won the crowd over.
That's
and
cool. That's not easy, man.
Worked.
That's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, especially a crowd that, they're just there for the Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Which, that's as they should be, because I love the Foo Fighters, by the way.
Sure.
They're great. But it is a little scary to kind of be like, just thinking like, who are these? Who's this Red Fang? What is this junk? Just give me the Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
But I feel like we actually kind of won them over.
That's awesome, man.
By a little bit into the set. And so, yeah, that was another highlight. Opening for Foo Fighters in Paris and Prague. That was amazing. That was really great. And those guys are super nice. And I would love to do more of that as well. So
how did that come about? How did you guys get that opportunity?
Okay. So, music connections. There's one of their guitar techs, actually two of their guitar tech guys live in Portland where we live. Sean Cox is this just super awesome guitar tech guy. He's a fan of us, and I'm not really sure exactly how it happened, but I feel like he nudged some people or was like, you guys got to let Red Fang open somewhere for you guys. And I guess that we were touring in Europe, and they were touring in Europe, and I guess, paths crossed at the right time. And I feel like Sean, their guitar tech, one of their guitar techs, must have been like, hey, let Red Fang open these shows for you guys. You need a show opener. They're on tour. They're in the same spot, same part of the world. And so I'm not sure exactly how it all happened, but I feel like Sean Cox, one of their guitar techs, must have put in the good word for us or something. And that's how it happened.
That's cool.
I don't know, but it was great. That was definitely a highlight. Trying to think other highlights. Well, we opened for Slayer in Brazil one time, and
Brazil,
that was another one of those.
Crowds are massive, aren't they?
Yeah, we played. It was a pretty big crowd. I don't remember what the capacity was there, but it was several thousand. And that was another one where I was like, this crowd is not going to care about us. They want to see Slayer. They don't care who Red Fang is. But I feel like we also won that crowd over. We, of course, played our heavier and more aggressive songs because we're opening for Slayer. You can't do like we probably wouldn't have played Why.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
It's a little more gentle. But so that was another highlight. And at first I was like, are we going to get, because we had heard of Slayer crowds and like booing openers and stuff, like, get out of here. Let's see Slayer. But people seem to really, really dig us. So that was probably another highlight. Oh, and I just thought of another one. Sorry, I know you only asked for 3, but
no, cool, man.
We got invited to play Metallica's Orion Music Festival.
Okay.
Gosh, I can't remember the years again. I have to look this up. But so we got invited to play that. And we're on, we're not on the main stage. There's several stages. We're on some other stage. And then just before our set, we hear, hey, James Hetfield's going to introduce you guys. And we're like, oh, okay. He's going to actually introduce us. And so he came over before we were at the stage, kind of getting ready. And he comes over and starts talking to us. And so that was a highlight, just to meet him. I love Metallica. I've loved Metallica ever since I first heard him when I was young. And the thing that I remember is just that, in my brain, he's James Hetfield, Metallica. He's a rock god, but he came over, he's wearing like a tank top, shorts, flip-flops. It was hot. And so he's just, being a normal person, which of course he is. But in my brain, he's James Hetfield of Metallica. Oh my God, so I'm like freaking out. I mean, I think I talked to him for a little bit, but I didn't want to be a super fanboy. And also we're about to play, so I didn't want to get all like flustered. And we actually did get flustered because so he gets up there and he introduces us. Then we play. I can't remember how I think our set started in drop D. We sometimes will switch tunings in the set. And and to be quicker, we usually will just tune that one string. We don't actually switch guitars. It depends. But anyway, so we're playing, we do a couple songs in drop D, and then we're supposed to switch to and maybe an E standards tuning. And James Hetfield is watching us on the side of the stage. And so we're all kind of like, oh my God, it's James Hetfield's watching us.
That's not nervous.
And our bass player, Aaron, gets flustered and nervous enough that he forgets to change his tuning. So we start playing the song, and I'm just like, oh, something's not, what's happening? Something is not right here. And Aaron realized, oh, I forgot to change my tuning. And I think it was because, you know, he knew that James Hetfield was watching him on the side of the stage, and he either adjusted or tuned real quick, and we were fine. But so that was a highlight also, getting to play the Orion Fest and having James Hetfield introduce us. And we did end up meeting, or maybe it was before that, I might be getting these swapped. We did actually meet Metallica in Australia. Yeah, it must have been before that. We played this festival called Soundwave, and Metallica was one of the headliners there. And we were at, I think it's sort of an intro party thing. Everybody get together and say hey to everybody before this festival tour starts. It was like basically all the major cities in Australia, and everybody's kind of traveling together. And Metallica was there. And at the time I was like, I don't even want to approach them. They're super nice guys. They're really nice. And I'm sure they're used to everybody kind of fawning over them and mobbing them. But I was just like, I don't even know what to say to them. I don't want to be a super fan, you know? So I didn't even really interact with them then, but yeah, anyway, I love Metallica. And that was another highlight, was to play their musical festival and get introduced by James.
That was really
awesome.
Cool. Really cool, man. I'm happy that you guys got to do that. Anything you're looking to do more of moving? I mean, besides just getting back out to playing.
Well, yeah, definitely looking forward to being able to tour again. More of, well, one thing that I've kind of been thinking about doing for a long time, you know, I love guitars and have done a little bit of work on the guitars myself, but learning more about how to, like, maybe how to build guitars. I know a little, you know, I can set up a guitar. I mean, I don't know if I could get a job as a guitar tech. Maybe I could, actually. I've done, actually, I refinished this guitar. This guitar, when I bought it, was baby blue, and I took the paint off, sanded it, put some varnish on there. So I've done a little.
Really clean, man. You did a good job.
Yeah, I like how it turned
clean
out. It's real nice wood, but someone had painted it kind of a sky blue or baby blue color, and I didn't really like that. So I decided I'm going to take everything off and sand it down. And
now, is that a mini humbucker in the neck? And
yeah.
I mean, in the bridge, and then
yeah, that is it's a lace. I don't remember exactly which one. It's a lace sensor pickup. Lace early on was real nice to us, gave us pickups. But yeah, I had to put this adapter in there because the thin lines come with these wide range humbuckers.
Yeah.
And so a normal pickup doesn't fit in this. It doesn't fit on this pick guard. So I had to get this little adapter to get that to fit in there because I wanted to try out a different pickup. But so anyway,
it's so funny that you play those, because like whenever I see that, especially that one with no color, with just the natural, it's like Buck Owens. I'm expecting to be holding that.
Yeah.
Man.
I also really love that look of just a wooden guitar.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've got some black ones. I got a sparkly red one. One of my Nick Huber Krausters is sparkly silver.
Right.
So I like some flashy too, but I also just love a nice wooden guitar or maybe a burst on there. But so, yeah, as far as kind of things that I would like to do more of is maybe learn more about building guitars and setting up guitars, working on guitars. I mean, I've done some of it, but building a guitar from scratch, I think, would be a really cool project that I've just never attempted. So that would be cool to do.
There's a Sullivan Guitars. I think you probably know that, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah,
actually,
there's a guy, Sullivan Guitars. No, I think he goes, I don't know if it's Sullivan Guitars or it's Sully, Sully, Sully Guitars. It's his last name is Sullivan, I'm pretty sure.
All right. I'm going
there you go.
write that just to check it out later.
Hey, man, what are you doing stealing my name for your guitar?
Yeah, I'll have to see. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, Sully Guitars, Sully. Did you kind of just got into music later comparatively to a lot of people? And I know you did some work with restoring houses. Were you ever considered doing something else besides music?
Yeah, well, okay. And one other thing that I do, Yeah, so right after school, I worked restoring old houses. I got to work with this guy who was most of his work was done on houses on the historic register in North Carolina.
That's got to be cool as shit. You probably saw modeled some really nice houses.
Oh yeah, some really cool houses. We did a lot of different things, and I had during college I worked in at NC State they had what was called the Craft Center, and it was I don't know, a community thing. People could come from off campus, but also if you were a student there, you could work there. And they did things like pottery. They had a wood shop. You could build your own telescope. People would actually build the lenses in telescopes by polishing these pieces of glass. Anyway, it was a crafts place. I worked in the wood shop during college. That was my job during college. So I enjoyed working with wood and all that kind of thing. And then when I got out of school, I saw that this guy was looking for help restoring houses.
What did you major in?
Well, my major was design.
Okay.
My degree is actually a Bachelor of Arts in environmental design.
Okay.
But what that means is that NC State, they had design that spanned the scale of the environment, from graphic design to product design, architecture, landscape architecture. So it's all design. It's just kind of being applied at a different scale across the environment. So I took kind of I think they've actually changed the name of the degree. It might just be called a general design degree, because I took some architecture, some product design, some graphic design. I kind of took a little bit of here and there, all of it. But so design.
You would like to get on a draft board and lay out a guitar or something.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
I would enjoy that. And I really enjoy solving problems and tinkering and things like that.
The world needs you. I enjoy solving problems.
Yeah. I mean, I do. I enjoy solving problems. Well, and one of the other things that I do not related to music is coding. I like redfang.net. I've built that.
Really?
And I work on Shopify sites for a couple of companies. So anyway, I do coding and programming, mostly web front end stuff. But
so let me ask you a question. I'm getting ready to set up my merch store. So if I need a plugin for Shopify, I can I can contact you.
Absolutely. Yes.
That would be.
We should talk about this later, but I would love to help you with that.
Yeah, that would be
that's
great.
The kind of thing that I do. I don't want to get into it too much, but basically, if you need customization on a Shopify site, I can totally do that for you. I can build some things for you, or I can recommend this plugin is a good one, or this app is a good one, or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the kind of thing that I also do.
That's wild. So, I mean, for people listening, if they want to get a hold of you for that, because that is a very valuable skill, how would they reach out to you? Like social media, or what do you want them to do?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I was on LinkedIn years ago, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I'm terrible at self-promoting. But I recently have gotten back onto LinkedIn. So you can find me, David Sullivan, on LinkedIn. That's probably the best place. And I need to actually put up my portfolio. I've created a little portfolio site to show different things I've worked on, and I haven't actually put it up yet.
What's that domain? Because people are going to be listening to this forever. What
yeah, that'll be
if
on.
You have one.
I do. It's treatcore.com. TREATKOR.com.
Right. Yeah.
Actually,
awesome, man.
What's on there right now? I should look at that.
Treatcore. All right. Awesome. Because people, that's a a valuable skill set.
Yeah. I'm terrible. Like I said, I'm terrible at self-promotion, but
all musicians are. And I come from a marketing background. So I sometimes beg people. Sometimes guys come on the show and I'm like, hey, do you want to promote anything? I said, don't you have a new record out? And they're like, yeah, I guess. I'm like, well, you're here for 60 to 90 minutes. Let's talk about it, or, cause I knew you guys had a record out, but I mean, a lot of guys come on, I don't know anything,
Yeah. No, I know. I need to be better about that. That's why I've recently gotten back onto LinkedIn, make some connections, let people know that I'm out there and I have these skills.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, and I need to put my portfolio up again.
Okay.
But yeah, basically self-taught. I've just always been kind of a computer nerd.
That's
I had
awesome.
TI-99 when I was I don't know,
Texas
12 and
Instruments.
14 years old. Yeah, it was
That's
old
wild.
TI. Then I got a Commodore 64. I was a computer nerd basically.
Yeah.
And I still really enjoy it.
And you did the whole redfang.net site.
Yeah. And that site actually, well, right now it's built using a static site generator called 11D, which it was running on, maybe I'm getting too nerdy here, but it was running on Next.js, which is built on top of React, which is a JavaScript framework for doing stuff. Now I've switched it over to basically statically generated. So the pages are all generated from a bunch of JSON files. This site generator called 11 takes those JSON files and churns out the web pages basically. So if I want to make changes, all I need to do is, like, let's say I have a page with a bunch of videos on it. I just have to type a couple lines into a JSON file and it generates the whole thing.
Oh, that's cool.
Anyway, yeah, that's again, like I was saying, solving problems. I like figuring out this kinds of things. Like somebody's like, hey, I want to be able to do, like, for instance, on Shopify, I want to be able to sell subscriptions, not just a set product thing. And so there's apps for that. So I'll research that. And I wouldn't probably write the app because somebody's already created that wheel. But yeah, I love solving those kinds of problems. Like, how can we do this? I built a set of filters, custom filters for a yarn shop where you can basically dynamically change what people are looking at by, I want to see by this kind of fiber, this brand. You can sort and rearrange what you're seeing by some filters that weren't built into the base template. So yeah.
You know what's funny? I was looking at Reverb.
Oh yeah, that's a great site.
Their whole success is built on, I came to this conclusion today, as a matter of fact, is built on their ability to filter.
Oh yeah. To make it easy for you to find what you want to
follow this search. Yeah. And so that's, I mean, every dollar they sunk into, I'm sure they put a shit ton of money into filtering applications, and they do a very good job of it. I mean,
they do. That site is easy to use. I mean, really, I think
incredibly easy.
Coming from the design perspective, basically you got to make it easy for people to get to what they want. And
totally.
You could have really complicated filtering functions and all, but just, you got to think about the user and, like, how can I reduce the friction between them and finding the results that they want?
And the number of clicks.
Just
delay is the death of a sale, man.
Yeah. So, that's all basically user interface design stuff. And yes, Reverb does a great job. I believe that site is, I'm not 100%. I believe they use Ruby for that site in the back end. But yeah, Reverb is great. It's also just great for finding stuff.
Yeah.
I'm actually, I don't know if you've seen, but I have quite a few pedals, guitar pedals, and thinking about selling a chunk of them. So I'm going to use Reverb for that.
Are you going to use? So you're going to have, like, because they'll have a separate, like, David Sullivan. They'll.
I've seen that where they're
you ought to do that, man.
Good, so from this band is doing that. I might do that just to give it a little bump in visibility.
It'd be a bump in visibility. You probably get a premium for it as well. Because look, if someone's a fan of yours, they want that pedal. Will they pay $50 more for it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy. I'm not encouraging you to.
I don't know how.
Jack up price.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're saying. I don't want to be like, hey, I'm in Red Fang, buy my shit. But yeah, it could help me out.
You don't have to say that, but you can just say, hey, you make a nice video. Man, you're a super humble guy. You just make a nice video of yourself. Hey, I've collected all these pedals over the years. There's some cool ones in here. This one does.
I'm not really sure how they do those. When it's kind of like that, like a featured thing. Like, I saw that Cheap Trick, Rick
Nielsen had it. Yeah.
Rick Nielsen, he was selling a bunch of guitars on there, and I was like, whoa, I got to check these out.
Yeah.
He's got a bunch of amazing stuff. His collection is insane. But anyway, yeah, maybe I can do one of those kinds of things where it's like,
then you just drive them there from your social media list too. Say, hey, we're doing this. And so you're going to get some traffic. You don't have to depend on exclusively their traffic.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm probably going to use Reverb to sell that stuff. I don't want to sell them because it's kind of like,
It's no fun selling them. It's fun buying them.
Yeah, it is fun buying them, but I can't really afford to keep buying them unless I, move
you got to
out. So
churn. Yeah, anyway, man, of course. Yeah. I know. I had bought this guitar and I felt so bad. But I have the same thing as you, man. I had a fund of from stuff I sold. So I was like, okay. And my wife, she never would say a word, but I just don't want to. I'm not a professional, I don't like. Well, they're the tools of your. Yeah.
It is fun to have these new tools to try things, and especially with pedals. That my justification maybe for the pedals is it can be like you said, it's a tool, and it can inspire new ideas and things. You get a new like delay pedal or a fuzz pedal, and you're like, ooh, that sound, and then you could create a whole song because you're inspired by these new sounds. You might change how you're playing. It could help you, get out of ruts that you've been in. Like I've found this years ago, ended up kind of doing some of the same chord shapes, the same progressions, and like, how can I change this? So sorry, I'm really bouncing around here for a second, but I remember breaking a string and just deciding I'm going to leave the string off and see what it makes me do. I'm going to try to play without that string in there, just so I'll have to do something different.
Right.
So anyway, pedals can do that too. They can kind of help you create, basically. Yeah. So yeah, but they can also cost a lot of money. So I think I'm going to sell some pedals.
So did you ever consider doing something else at any point? It was all these things. You've done all of them as part of your plan B to back up your music.
Yeah. I never thought I would be playing music as my main gig, basically. So the idea was go to design school. And I did this after restoring houses. I worked at an ad agency for a little while. I was kind of just their computer IT guy. And then they needed somebody to build websites. And I knew just enough to be like, I can build websites. And they're like, you're it. You're the guy. You're our website builder guy now. So I worked at an ad agency building websites. This was way back in like 99. I don't remember exactly when. But as far as doing other things that aren't music, I hope that music continues, that we can keep going. I mean, it's been really tough with COVID. We haven't been able to tour, so we haven't been making as much money. So I do need to kind of fall back on some of these other things. But yeah, I never really saw this happening. So I don't know.
Did you get anything out of downtime?
Well, I did brush up on some more coding skills, learned a couple of new things there. I'm kind of an introvert, I would say, even though I, play in a band and I'm on stage in front of people. So I didn't mind the social part of it. And I was lucky. I think about people who, like, I've got my wife who I live with. So I can't imagine if you were going through that and you had to isolate and you didn't have someone else there physically. That would be really tough.
Or the other way, you're in New York City in an 800 square foot apartment with your wife and your 2 kids that you have to homeschool now.
Yeah, that would also equally be tough. You're not used to being, packed in, and you can't really leave. I mean, you can leave, but yeah, it's tough on many different levels in many situations. As far as me really kind of like taking advantage of that time to do new stuff, I have to say I was probably pretty lazy. I took the band, we decided it wasn't safe for us to get together to practice, at least for a big chunk of it, for like almost a full year, which that sucked. Because when we finally did get back together and practice, it felt awesome. It was like, wow, I really missed this. But so yeah, I kind of took a break from that. I mean, I would play guitar here at home, some, but I didn't have the discipline that I wish I had to really like, I'm going to write a bunch of songs, or I'm going to really spend a bunch of time on guitar. I actually focused more on coding and programming stuff and trying to work, basically getting Shopify work.
Yeah.
Because
it's also hard to play guitar. You're in a band. Probably 90% of the fun is look, you guys have got to get along real well. You've been together a long time.
Yeah.
The credits on the song is indicative of that. And, all of a sudden you're like your brothers, your family, your other family.
Yeah.
And like, what are you going to do? Play guitar in your room alone? It's like not
really,
fun.
Yeah, it is. It's way different. I really enjoy, yes, playing with people live and interacting with them. We did try during COVID. We tried to do these, kind of like Zoom, but it was I forget what it was called. Anyway, a thing where we could actually jam together and see each other on the video, but none of us have a internet connection that was quick enough, I guess. So there was this weird lag, and it was really impossible to actually horrible, play. Man. Yeah, we tried it, but we were like, this isn't going to work. I can't play like this. So yeah, there is definitely something about playing in a room with other humans making sounds while that's way preferable to just sitting here playing guitar. I mean, I do play guitar a lot by myself. And we did a little bit of, we'd send some files back and forth, like I'd record something, send it out. But I'm guilty of being a little bit slack on the guitar front during COVID. I didn't spend as much time on that, partially because I had to find other work. Because since the band wasn't working, I had to do other things to make money. So,
well, let me just clue you in on something. Don't feel bad, because honestly, 90% of the guys I've had on my show that I still talk with, they would send me messages like, fuck, I have a gig tomorrow. I am terrified. Or like, my fingers, I practiced the other day for the first time. My fingers are all bloody,
Oh, yeah.
So everybody
I lost my calluses. Yep.
Yeah. Everybody was in that position.
Yeah. Yeah. I did. Feeling good about it now, but I was in that same thing. Like when we first started practicing, our practice space is a decent sized room. So when we first got together, like big enough where we can have some space between us. And there's also, I don't know what this place used to be. It's kind of an old industrial building, but there's a switch on the wall, and it turns on a huge exhaust fan. Like you turn on this fan and these vents open up, and it moves a lot of air. So we felt at some point like it was safe enough for us to get together and practice in the practice space. But at first I was the same way. I was like, am I going to remember these songs? Like, and after first few practices, I was like, oh yeah, I got to get these calluses back again.
Yeah.
And then doing shows, yeah, it's a little scary, but we've been practicing regularly enough now where I feel I'm back in shape enough to play a show and feel good about it. But yeah, the COVID sucked, in lots of ways. But
yeah, totally.
But yeah.
Low points. Tell me some of the low points or dark periods you've had, and how'd you get through them?
I mean, COVID was one of them. That sucked. Let's see. So I guess my dad passed away. This was a few years ago, maybe. Let me think of my timeline here. Not sure what year it was. 2007. 2000. No, it was before that. Okay, let me think here. 2003. I'm terrible with remembering when things happened. My timeline, I need to write it all out. Anyway, my dad passed away, and I got really depressed for a while. And I don't want to say too much about it, except this: if anyone is grieving or gets depressed, I made the mistake of basically isolating myself and hiding away from people instead of asking for help, and instead of, like, we were this was before Red Fang, and we were in this band called Party Time. It was me and John and Brian and some other guys, and we had a tour scheduled. Then my dad passed away, and I felt like I'm not allowed to be happy right now. I'm supposed to be grieving and mourning, so I didn't go on the tour. I was like, I'm sorry guys, I can't do this. I don't feel like I'm allowed to be happy right now. Or I'm just not I don't know. I just thought I can't go on tour and and have fun. I'm not supposed to do that, but that was a mistake. What I should have done is realize that life must go on and will go on, and I should have gone on the tour and distracted myself from feeling sad and depressed because my dad passed away. But instead, I stayed at home by myself and kind of isolated, and it took me like, I don't know, a year and a half, almost maybe 2 years to finally kind of get out of this funk. And the mistake I made was basically, instead of asking for help and instead of just, I know it's hard. Everybody deals with grief differently, but I basically I felt guilty about doing normal life things, continuing with my life. I felt like I can't go out and be happy. I have to be sad right now. I don't know. I just felt like I wasn't, not really sure how to put it, but I felt guilty about going on tour and doing things that I enjoyed. Felt like I had to be sad, and that was a bad mistake. I should have gone out and been with my friends who were supportive and asked for support and asked for help. And I isolated, and that was a mistake. So that was a low point, and I eventually got over it. I got through it, but basically I guess what I learned from that is that, if you deal with something like a death in your family, it's not good to isolate, and you shouldn't feel like you have to feel a certain way. I mean, like you have to feel sad and you can't, I mean, I don't know. It's different for everybody, I'm sure. But I realize now that life is going to go on no matter what. And it's probably best to try and just continue with your normal life, and be around your friends. Don't hide out from your friends, because I did that, and it was a mistake. It wasn't good. So yeah, I don't know. That was a low point. After my dad died, I kind of got bummed out for a year or more, and I don't know.
And
I don't really know what else to say about it.
No, man. First of all, I'm really sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of people probably have gone through something similar. And I forgot we were talking about earlier before we started recording, but there's no frame of reference for that. Like,
Yeah.
And I think you're right. Everybody deals with this grief. It's a fucked up, it's grief.
Yeah. Yeah. I think basically just remember that there's people around you that love you. Hopefully there are. And it's okay to lean on your friends when you need to. And I didn't do that. I kind of isolated, which is, I don't think that was a good way to do it. But yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I'm not an expert, obviously. Yeah. I don't know what to tell people other than it's okay to lean on your friends, and there's no correct way to feel or deal with it. I don't know.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you sharing that. It was really kind of you.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
What's the last song or last music you listened to?
Okay. I'm trying to be totally spontaneous here and not like what is the last song that I listened to? I don't know. I recently have been listening to a lot of Jose Gonzalez. I don't know if you know him.
No, who is that?
He's mostly acoustic. He takes acoustic guitar and kind of combines it with a little bit of electronic stuff. It's very mellow, folky stuff. Something about him is just very sincere, and I'm not even sure how to describe it. It's just, he's got soul. I don't mean like soul music, like R&B or whatever. He's just, you can feel that he's really sincere, and it's just really good. Jose Gonzalez.
Where's he out of?
Yeah, you know what? I want to. I'm gonna have to look this up. I want to say he's actually American, but I don't know. Give me one sec here. I'm really curious about that too. Oh, okay. He's Swedish. I did not know that.
Interesting.
He's from Gothenburg, Sweden. Yeah.
There's some great musicians in Sweden, man.
Yeah, he's just amazing. I don't know where he's originally from, but yeah, I did not know he was Swedish. Anyway, Jose Gonzalez, he's
thanks.
great. Another thing that I just want to throw out there that I've kind of been listening to a little bit recently is, I don't even know how I came across this, and it's not like Red Fang at all, just like Jose Gonzalez is not like Red Fang at all. It's a band called the Bell Brothers, and they had this one album called Queens of the Breakers, and it's like, I don't know, I guess you'd call it indie rock, for lack of a better term. But it's just the production on it and the songs. It's just a lovely sounding album. I love the songs. I'm not even sure how to describe it. It's indie rock with kind of, there's some blues, definitely some blues flavors happening in there. I don't know. It's just a great sounding record, and the songs are great. I love the guy's vocals, and anyway, something about that record, Queens of the Breakers by the Bell Brothers. I think it's one of those things like people be like, what? You like that kind of stuff? I like all kinds of stuff, but it's a great record. I recommend.
Yeah, I'm going to check them both out. Thank you. Tell me your top 3 Desert Island discs, just for right now, just for this minute.
I like that you just for right now, because it's constantly changing, of course.
Oh yeah. I could ask you this later today and change.
Yeah, like my usual go-tos are Black Sabbath, Master Reality. I love Harvest by Neil Young.
Yeah, great record.
Another record that I find myself kind of coming back to is another oddball one, something that most people are being like, what? You like that? There's this band called Stars of the Lid. I believe they're from, I don't know, they're from Chicago, or maybe they're from Richmond, Virginia. I don't know where they're from. Anyway, the Stars of the Lid. Oh no, you know what? I think they're from Texas, now that I think about it. Maybe they're from Austin. Anyway, Stars of the Lid. It's ambient sounds. I mean, there's songs, but it's not rock and roll. And I'm not sure how to describe it. I think people would just call it ambient music, like Brian Eno, ambient stuff. It's like music that's really nice to go to sleep to almost. Yeah. But it's also very engaging and interesting. It's really great in like some headphones. But the album's called The Tired Sounds of the Stars of the Lid.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that's an appropriate title. It's it's almost like something that could be a movie soundtrack, kind of just these sounds that you don't even really notice at first happening in the background. But that record, something about it I find very soothing and calming.
Yeah.
It's a really cool record, Stars of the Lid. And I've also really Desert Island. I want to put all Soundgarden, since you said CDs, put all the Soundgarden.
Just a massive box
CD.
set.
Yeah, massive box set. Same thing for Tom Petty. Absolutely love Tom Petty. So if I could have all that on one CD, I know that's kind of cheating. You're asking for, your tops, but I really love Tom Petty. He's great.
Do you miss the weather in North Carolina? Because it's pretty different weather-wise in Portland, right?
Yeah, I would say the biggest difference in North Carolina is humidity. It's a lot more humid in North Carolina than out here in Portland. But as far as temperature extremes, it's not too much different, although we've had some insane heat here in Portland recently. Actually, just a couple of days ago, it was up in the hundreds again, which is
holy crap.
Unusual
That's nuts,
here.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. And like a couple weeks before that, I believe we got up to like 112 or something, which is just what in Portland? It doesn't seem
really weird.
Normal. It's definitely not normal. But yeah, thinking about North Carolina, one thing it reminded me of is, remember when I moved out here to Portland? I love Portland. It's great. And it's kind of way more rainy and gloomy, I guess, than North Carolina. The other thing that I realized is there's no fireflies, lightning bugs.
Oh,
I don't know if you have those up there.
Yeah, we have them in Tampa. Yeah.
Yeah. So that must be, I don't know why we don't have them out here, but there's
because you have
lightning
well,
bugs
North
here.
Carolina's got, I would say no mountains, but that's Florida. North Carolina is loaded with, it's all mountains. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why they're not. I mean, maybe it's, and also I don't know, maybe there are fireflies if you go a little farther out or whatever. Maybe it's just right in this area. But anyway,
no love bugs either,
no
probably, right?
bugs.
Do you have love
Say what?
bugs? Do you have love bugs?
Are
in North
those like
Carolina.
ladybugs or
No, they're these.
roly-polies? What's a
I
love?
think they're only in Florida. They're these things that were developed, I think, at University of Florida. I don't know if it was on purpose or mistake, but they come twice a year in May and October, and there's like fucking thousands of them, but you don't see them until you stop your car, and then your like entire grill. There's like.
Are they like big, like a fly size, or like gnats?
They're like a gnat plus.
Oh,
they're like two gnats.
I'm glad we don't have those.
Yeah,
I don't think we do.
They
anyway.
don't do anything. They don't bother you. They're just like,
oh, okay.
It's just a weird Florida thing.
Yeah, no, I don't think we have that out here. Not that I've seen anyway.
Tell me something, David, that you want that you don't have now. Could be something like tangible or something, state of mind or whatever.
Well, sure. What that just kind of trying to go off honest reactions. The first thing that I thought of there was, I'm not sure what the word for it is, but stability. So, I've kind of never, like I said, I never thought that playing music in a band would be my career. It just kind of happened that way. Things started working and we kept at it, and it's kind of worked out that way. But then COVID hit and I'm like, we can't do this. We can't tour, and touring is how we survive, basically. So I don't know if the word would be stability or assurance, but and I know I have some other skills, other things I can do, but I guess if there was something that I could
like consistency in earnings, like financial consistency in
I guess
earnings.
That's it. Yeah, consistency, or just kind of some stability. Because I love playing music, and I'm not going to stop. But with this whole COVID thing, like, it really shut everything down, and not just musicians, but especially musicians, I believe, because at least touring musicians, because our whole thing is touring and being in a room with a bunch of people, which is, anyway, it's getting back to normal hopefully soon. But so anyway, some kind of consistency with that would be great. Musicians don't really make money selling albums anymore.
No,
it's
at all.
I don't, to be honest, even as a musician, as far as I know, the only way to do it is touring. The main way to do it. You can do streaming stuff, and we tried
touring
that,
and then merch sales on your tour.
But yeah, that's the main thing. And so, but anyway, I guess if I could have something, would be just a sense of that, just steadiness. Like you said, consistency, which I guess that's you can't really expect that in the music world. But it would be great if that could happen. I don't know if it's not, but also at the same time, I'm excited to see what happens, what the universe throws at us. So we'll see.
What do you like most about yourself?
Oh boy. Okay. So answering questions about yourself is always tricky. I never know how to say this thing. That I guess I like that I am curious. I'm really I like figuring things out, and I guess like I mentioned before, I like solving problems. I like having a challenge, and like our car, the check engine light came on in our car. This was maybe a year or two ago. Check engine light came on, and I was like, what is this about? So I did some Googling, and that
freaking Google's amazing, dude. You can it's just
great.
Amazing. My daughter, Dad, my car broke. My daughter's like Googling shit, and she's like, oh, I just ordered this part online from the junkyard. Can you help me put it in? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. So what it turned out was with our car, there's the check engine light, and what I realized is that you can put this car. It's a Nissan Sentra. You can put it into some sort of mode when you first start up the car by doing a series of presses on the pedal. There's computers in cars now.
Sure.
This is like a 2004 or 5-ish Nissan Sentra. Anyway, looking at YouTube and Google, there's this mode you can put it into. It's like a diagnostic mode, because you take it to the machine shop that they got the check engine light. They have to hook it up to a computer. but you can also put it into this diagnostic mode by, I don't know what it is. It's like 7 presses on the gas pedal, and then you turn the key, and then you press something else, and then it goes into this mode, and the check engine light will flash a sequence of on and offs, basically long and short. I guess it's like Morse code.
Like Morse code, yeah.
And it'll tell you what the check engine light is, what the problem is. It'll say, then you look at the sequence of beeps, then you look in this chart, and it's like, oh, it's and I forget exactly what it was. It was something with it was like some sort of sensor, like a exhaust sensor or something. Turns out the sensor was faulty. Anyway, so I guess what I like about myself is that I like those kinds of challenges. Like, how can I fix this? I don't want to pay $1,000 at the garage for them to hook it up to the computer. I can do this myself.
Yeah, yeah.
So I figured out how to read the code for what the check engine light was saying. I went to the auto parts place and bought this $30 part and put it in myself.
Yeah.
It just was some sort of little sensor that was causing the check engine light to turn on. Anyway, so I guess what I like about myself is that I'm curious and maybe a little bit tenacious when it comes to tinkering and fixing things. I guess. I don't know.
You know, it's funny. There's something so rewarding about figuring out how to fix something in your car.
Oh yeah.
The car particularly.
Yeah.
And then it's always like, wow, this is not that hard. Yeah, because you just know, like, if you have to bring it somewhere, it's like $500, like, or no matter what, it's like, $300 to $500. Oh, this part, but we had to walk to Japan and get it for you.
Yeah.
It's I know what you're saying, man. That's
yeah. It is it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
Like you said, especially on the car, it's like, and there's sometimes I'll look at a problem, like sometimes electrical problems. I'm like, especially in a car, the electrical systems in there they can be crazy, and I'm like, I'm not gonna even attempt this because I'm gonna mess it up. And so sometimes you have to kind of know, like, that's beyond me. Sure. But yeah, it is definitely a good feeling.
Oh God, yeah.
Figuring things out.
And so, what would your wife say she likes most about you?
Oh boy, I think I actually asked her this question.
Oh, did you? That's cool.
Let me. I don't know. I can't remember what. I think she would just say that I'm friendly, I'm nice. I guess I'm not judgmental about people. To each their own, and that's fine with me. I think she would just say that I'm very nice. I'm friendly, I guess. That's it. I mean, although I definitely am a little bit of an introvert. I'm not very outgoing. I'm not the guy at the party like, hey, talking to everybody. I'm not that. But yeah, I'm a nice person, I guess.
But you're like was it like an extroverted introvert? Because like you're like pretty open.
Oh yeah, I don't mind talking about things, but but I don't usually offer them unless you're asking, I guess.
Totally got it. Yeah.
I don't know.
I got it. And I'm lucky. I haven't had too many like people come on and like not answer. I'd be like, what the hell do we do here, man? I wouldn't know, because I'm not gonna like beat a question, beat an answer. I mean, like, it's your thing, man, So I've been
it is tricky though, questions where it's like kind of asking you to think about yourself. It's cool. It's a good thing to do, I think, to think about yourself, but I find it, I guess maybe I don't think about myself or how to talk about myself enough, maybe. So I find that kind of question can be tricky to have a good response to. What's the best thing about yourself? It's like, I'm just not good at that kind of thing. But yeah.
Do you have hobbies outside? I know you have hobbies. What are your hobbies outside of music?
Well, like
coding.
I said, coding. I enjoy that. For a little while, and it's not really related to coding. I was learning how to build guitar pedals, learning some electronics.
Dude, that sounds like a good fit for you.
Yeah. I built let's see, do I have one sitting around here?
And it takes a lot less time to build a pedal than a guitar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can actually make money at it.
Yeah. And I've built a few simple pedals. I don't know if I have one close by, one of my pedals. I don't think I have one sitting here, but I've built a few really basic circuits, nothing too fancy. It's not like I would be designing circuits. I would be taking a circuit that exists and maybe modifying it.
Yeah.
a little bit, but not like building something from scratch. But that's one of my hobbies. Another hobby, which kind of combines that and coding, is I've been learning about microcontrollers. Like if you can see this guy.
Yeah, what is that?
It's called an ESP32, and it's basically a tiny little computer on a chip there. And this one can run Python code. So I've got it hooked up to, these are a bunch of LED lights.
Right.
Actually,
this is like being at the science fair, man. This is awesome. I love science, so this is like cool.
Let me see.
This is cool,
see if
man.
this will work if I connect this. I don't remember what. Oh yeah. So okay. Maybe it's hard to see with the light.
No, I see. It looks great.
This is a part of a thing that I'm trying to code. Basically, this little guy is controlling the LED lights on here, and they're real slowly changing colors.
Oh,
they're
man.
cycling through. It might be hard to pick it up on the camera, but anyway, so
That's
learning how to
cool.
code these little things. And the cool thing about these kind of microcontrollers is you can take code and interface with real world things like lights or anything really, temperature sensors. So anyway, that's another thing I've been kind of learning about how to do that kind of stuff. And you know, you just got to try it out. And those microcontrollers, amazingly, that thing costs like $4 for that little ESP32, or maybe $7. Anyway, they're very cheap, and they just run off USB power, and then you can basically connect them to all kinds of things, lights, cameras, temperature sensors, you know, lots of things like that. Real world interface to real world stuff. So you could, like that one I'm trying to build a little nightlight thing. And I haven't gone too far with this one, but trying to build a sensor that you can put into like a house plant, and it'll give you a signal when you need to water the plant, because it can detect with it's a capacitive resistance. It can measure basically the amount of water that's in the soil, and it's got Wi-Fi on there too, so it can send you a signal saying, hey, it's time to water the plant.
Oh, dude, that would be that's a great product to sell on Shopify.
Right. Yeah. And you know, I'm like I said, learning, still kind of tinkering, but something like that would be great if you can create something small enough. The trick with these things is figuring out the power. They run off USB, which you could, you know,
you got to get people to get to engage someone to charge it consistently.
Right. It either needs to have some sort of rechargeable battery thing with it, or you've got to run a USB cable to it. They're usually 3.3 volts or 5 volt. But yeah, the real trick,
that's cool.
Somebody who's got the $1 million product is, it's batteries basically. You got to have really good small batteries. I mean, like what they've done with phones is amazing. But yeah, so as far as some of my other hobbies, kind of electronics and coding are the things that I like to mess around with.
You know what's funny? Believe it or not, I think it was Vinny Appice, the drummer.
Yeah.
He is a Microsoft certified engineer.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, and he is this is what he said. He goes, I'm basically like a science nerd that happens to play heavy metal drums.
Right. Yeah.
I was like
never would have
shocked. He's like, you know, he's like reading the Bible, not for religious purposes, but like just to, you know, to educate himself. He's just reading the Bible. And I mean, that's not an easy book to read. I don't care what version you're looking at or what, you know, denomination. It's like not easy. He's like really smart like that. So, which obviously you are as well. Were you like a Popular Science magazine subscriber as a kid or something like that?
No, didn't have a subscription, but yeah, I love that kind of stuff. I remember, I think maybe we had a Discover magazine when I was a kid. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, I love that kind of stuff. Just science stuff, experimenting with stuff, and then and kind of especially where it connects to real world stuff like guitar pedals. Like, how can I use these electronic circuits to do something that is part of what I like to do creatively?
Sure.
So yeah,
very cool, man. Just a couple of questions, if you're comfortable with me asking you this one. Biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years, let's say. And
I guess, okay, I thought about this, and I think that probably it's just that I'm a little less idealistic than I used to be. So when I was younger, for 8 years, I was vegan because I don't like factory farming, basically. I just think it's bad for the environment. It's bad for ethical, moral reasons. I don't like that. So I didn't eat meat or use any animal products for like 8 years, and I was hardcore about it.
It's hard to be vegan. That's like a job, man.
It kind of was a lot of work, and actually, it did clash with being in a band and touring, because on the road it's harder to eat well anyway. And then if you go ahead and restrict it even further to, no dairy, no animal, anything, it's just I wasn't good at it. Anyway, so I think I basically was like, I'm not. I guess I've just become. I guess it's maybe that I've become a little more cynical and a little less idealistic, and I'm okay with that. I've realized that basically I'm not gonna deny myself. Well, let me tell you about the being vegan and being on tour. We were on tour somewhere in California, and this was way before Red Fang. And we were at a Mexican place, and I asked a friend of mine, like, "Hey, what are you gonna get?" And I was like, I'm kind of dreading eating another bean burrito, just a plain bean burrito.
Is that fits in vegan though, right?
Yeah, just just
but
vegetables.
It's just beans and vegetables. You can't put cheese on there.
No cheese, no dairy, basically. Right. So anyway, but and they were like, I'm gonna have a fish taco, and I was like, ooh. So I decided I'm gonna have a fish taco, and I ate it, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, and it's so good. And so I started eating fish. Still didn't for a couple years eat, well, or maybe for a year. I don't know how long I lasted. But anyway, I ate a fish taco, and it was like mind blowing, because I hadn't had fish or any kind of meat or any kind of dairy for years before that, for like 8 years.
That's a long time.
It was a long time. I was dedicated to it. But then I realized, like, I'm basically probably harming my body nutritionally. I wasn't probably getting what I was supposed to be getting. I still think that factory farming is bad. It's bad in a lot of ways, but I can't do that anymore, especially touring. I need to be able to, have the right nutrients in my body, and you can do it. It's just a lot of work, but it's not for me. I gave up on that. Not that I disagree with the reasons anybody's doing it. It's totally fine, but I just gave up on that. So I guess, as far as you asking, like, what has changed in me, and it's just that I kind of have maybe, I've gotten a little more cynical and a little more practical or realistic, I guess, with my ideals, which is a little sad to say, but with that in particular, with being vegan, I just can't do it anymore. And so now I eat anything. I eat whatever. I don't eat a lot of meat, but I definitely eat a lot of cheese. And I don't know. I'm just decided that maybe this is a little selfish, and it is a little selfish. I'm not going to kind of deny myself to make a tiny little dent in this, huge problem, which is terrible to say, actually, because that's how you really do change the world, is everybody makes a tiny dent. And so, but anyway, I guess that basically I've just become a little less idealistic, or I guess that's it. I'm not sure how to say that. And it sounds terrible to say, but I want to enjoy cheese and hamburgers.
How dare you?
Stuff like that. So I know, it's just that
horrible.
I used to feel so strongly about it. Like I didn't even have a belt made of leather or a sleeping bag made of down, anything animal. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. And now I'm like, I want to enjoy life and eat a hamburger. So I'm not going to worry about it anymore, which
there's another component of that maybe it has something to do, which I think is a good thing. Sometimes when you're older, you get to a point, I know I did, I've suffered enough.
Yeah.
Sacrificing is good, but there's an expense you pay for sacrificing. So you have to sort of decide what's a sacrifice that's a smart sacrifice, and what's a sacrifice that's like fucking suffering like sacrifice, and why am I
Right.
suffering? And you know, especially as you get old, at least speaking for myself, and I more so because I have kids, perhaps because they mortality, because like my kids now will tell me, Dad, I'm going to be so sad if something happens to you and Mom, which like, you know, almost start crying when because I'm going to be sad because I don't want to not be around these guys, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, you can't like live and then think about that stuff. But
yeah, you just got to live and try to make the best of it, and not dwell on on mortality.
Like you live today. But there is a component as it relates to what you said of like, why am I doing this? This is like ridiculous. I want to enjoy myself. Like I want to enjoy having lunch.
Yeah. I mean, you just, you got to, I guess, choose your battles. And I decided that was, especially after eating that fish taco, I was just like, oh, I think my body needs this. Like it needs to eat this. And I don't know. So now I eat everything. I eat whatever.
I agree with you about the way I haven't eaten veal and I love veal, but I haven't eaten veal in like, honestly, probably 35 years or something like that.
Yeah.
I won't. Yeah. That's too much, man.
Yeah. I mean, and really, if you go down that rabbit hole, it's not even really a rabbit hole. It's just the reality is that factory farming, you know, I don't know if you've driven through those parts of California's where they have all these huge cattle farms, and it just, even from the highway, it smells terrible.
No,
it's just terrible that these living animals are a product. Basically, they're not, you know, anyway, I don't want to get into all that. I mean, I still am passionate about it, but I just made a decision for myself that I am going to eat animal products, and I'm okay with that. That's probably the biggest change from when I was younger to now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just, I want to enjoy, like you said, I want to enjoy my lunch.
Yeah, man.
I want to, you know, so yeah.
But being totally objective, the people who own farms, cattle farms,
right? See, now that's a different.
They're not, you know, they're not looking at this like they're not doing it their own. This is a cattle farm. They've done this for 14 generations.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely a part of our culture and our society. It's totally normal. And I just, not that I want to go back to, you know, I don't know. I basically just it's something that I used to struggle with, and now I'm just not going to worry about it anymore.
Well, dude, I hope you come to Tampa. We'll go enjoy a nice steak.
Sure.
Or
Even
some
though,
ribs.
you know, I'm not saying that people aren't completely valid with their, you know, reasons for doing that for themselves. Just for me, I've decided not to fight that fight anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. I agree with you. To each his own. Any final words of wisdom?
Follow your heart, you know, do what you love, and it for me anyway, it has worked out. I feel like, you know, if you love playing music, just stick with it. Try to find some folks that you can play with, that you get along with, you know, musically and as friends, and just do it, and do it not for money or fame, just because it's what you really enjoy. I feel like if you really do enjoy it and you put your heart into it, everything will just work out. Whatever it is, doesn't have to be music, you know. But yeah, follow your heart. Basically, do what makes you happy. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you very much for all your time. I want to thank you for all the great music you've made, and for being. And I agree with your wife. You are a very nice guy. So thanks for being so sincere. Let me tell people where to find you and Red Fang. So redfang.net is the website. Please check the band out. Honestly, man, listen to the records, but if you don't, at a minimum, watch their videos, then you'll listen to the records for sure, man. There's some great stuff out there, really creative and very cool. The new record is called Arrows. It's a really long record, 13 songs, probably clocks in at, I don't have the thing on the bottom. It's got to be an hour of music at least, or close to an hour, or 50 minutes or something like that. It's a long record. Only Ghosts, I love that. The last record you guys did, they've got some great stuff. They have you know, it was interesting. This is like very old school, that Whales and Leeches was not on the Whales and Leeches record.
Yeah.
That's very old school.
we did some weird stuff with a couple of song titles. There's another one, I believe, Murder the Mountains. The title of that album is a song that's not on that album.
Right.
And yeah, and same thing with Whales and Leeches. I don't know how that happened. I think we just liked that title. The song was written before, but not recorded until later. And yeah, so yeah, this Arrows album is actually the first album where the title of the album is the first song on the album.
I know. Imagine that. So please check the band out. Touring is going to be coming up soon. Check out redfang.net for the touring. Also, if you are you on, do you want to promote social media at all? The band or yourself?
We're on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. You can connect to all that through redfang.net.
Awesome. And also, if you're interested in working with David as him consulting with you on some Shopify store stuff, either creating a plugin or modifying your Shopify site, you can reach him on LinkedIn or his website, which is going to be, it'll be up by the time this, or shortly after this video airs. It's Treatkor, Treatkor.com, Treatkor.com. So reach out to him there. Just be respectful and tell him what you're looking for, and don't be a fanboy and all that kind of stuff. Thank you, man, for everything. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you guys if you come passing through town. Do you guys ever play Florida?
Yeah, it's been a minute, and
it's a tough state to play.
Well, I think why people don't is because you go down and then you got to go, there's not a way to do like a just passing through kind of thing. You got to go down and then come back up. But we have done Florida before. I'm not sure on this next tour how close we're getting to Florida. I don't think we have any Florida dates in there, but we will at some point, I'm sure. Yeah.
Awesome. I'd love to come see you guys. Thanks for everything, man. And congratulations. David's sort of a newlywed, so let's wish him good luck with that. And thanks for everything. Hang on one second. We'll wrap up.
Yeah.
Everybody, thank you. Likewise, man. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this, please share it on your socials and tell all your friends about it. Thanks very much to David Sullivan. Please check out Red Fang at redfang.net. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice. So choose wisely. Be nice, go play your guitar, and have fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I am out. Thank you so much, brother.